What's up, guys? Joe Neal here to recap Blachowicz versus Rakic, which, generally speaking, each of these recaps is 5 stars. But enough Czarface references, let's get to the fights. The main event, we had light heavyweight matchup between Alexander Rakic versus Jan Blachowicz. So early on, a jab from Rakic cuts the eye right underneath. Looks like a left hook or like a left straight, kind of sneaks in there. But I really liked what Jan was doing, where he would land like a left straight or like a jab or a left hook to the body, then come over the top with the right hand. I really like that. And honestly, like, Rakic is known for being kind of slow paced, kind of boring. But this fight actually had a really good pace from the opening bell, with Rakic throwing these hard low kicks, like the same low kick we saw him drop Anthony Smith with back when they fought. But he throws it, and it's getting checked constantly by Jan. So Jan definitely did his homework, something I'm pretty happy with, because, I always like that. Show that intelligence, that studying you do on your opponent. But midway through the round, Jan does hurt Rakic, and honestly, like, Rakic, I want to mention this now, he has a crazy chin because he's taking some bombs from Jan, and he's barely stumbling, honestly. And the cut I mentioned earlier, at this point, like later in the first round, is starting to kind of act up for Jan, as he's like constantly wiping it. Might be getting into his eye, because it was like probably like right underneath the eye, if I remember correctly seeing it after the fight. But it's pretty good pace first round, and I scored for Jan. Second round, takedown from Rakic early, and with Jan does look for a triangle, and I thought he was going to get it at one point. I was like, oh, old dog learning some new tricks. But Rakic defends well, and it's just top control for the entire second round, and not a ton of action. So it's starting to seem like it's becoming a Rakic paced fight once again. Yeah. But round 3 starts, and some good low kicks from both guys. Jan still checking the low kick, the power low kick from Rakic. I want to keep bringing that up. I wonder why. But a great, at one point, awesome combination from Jan as he lands a left to the body, overhand right, and then a left body kick. And I was like, that reminds me of Rafael Fiziev, who has my favorite in that 1-2 left kick to the body. Love it. But then the finish happens, and it's like, you gotta feel bad. As Jan steps in looking for another combination to push the pace, and Rakic has his knee buckle, with the injury ending the fight with a TKO. A really rough way for the fight to finish, and I wish Rakic, despite me, criticizing and joking about your normal pace, I do wish nothing but a very quick and healthy recovery for you, because, that knee injuries are just the worst for fighters. It feels like ACL, MCL, all stuff like that. So best of luck in the future. I hope everything turns out okay. So what's next for these guys? Because Jan just came off a title loss, whereas Rakic has, been kind of doing well to avenge his close loss to Volkan Ozdemir, and he's been kind of streaking lately into a 205. So personally, I was thinking, I really kind of don't hope they don't just throw Jan back into the title mix unless Teixeira wins. If Teixeira wins, then you know what? I know Jan wants that rematch. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But I also, at the risk of clogging the division, waiting for the next contender, Anthony Smith and Magomed Ankalaev fight pretty soon. I think you could almost just toss Jan in that fight, or fight the winner. Excuse me, not just toss him in. No triple threat here. I think that makes sense, to me. And if for Rakic, if he recovers quickly, I think the winner of Paul Craig, Volkan Ozdemir, sounds appealing to me, as he could potentially try and get that win back from Volkan Ozdemir. I know he was upset with the decision. I remember scoring it for Volkan, but it's been a minute since I've seen that fight, so I don't know, maybe I have to watch that one again. Or Dominic Reyes has said that he's looking to come back. I think you could, realistically have him welcome Dominic Reyes back. I think that sounds like a good fight, personally. I'm down for it. Those are probably the 2 places I would put it. Again, once again, if Jan doesn't just, we just don't just give him a title shot immediately, which I wouldn't be opposed to, honestly. Co-main event, we have Ryan Spann versus Ian Cutelaba, the Superman versus the Hulk, the classic matchup that I'm always telling people Superman should win easily. In MMA, it translates pretty well. It seems like early on, Ryan Spann lands some very good hands, like very good, like with the southpaw stance, good 1-2s, and it does seem to kind of stun Cutelaba a little bit. Cutelaba does start wrestling and trying to slow the pace down with some scrambles, but they're both scrambling all over the place. At one point, Cutelaba does get mount, which is pretty. I was like, oh, okay, what's he gonna do with it? But nothing really comes of it because Spann is very active from the bottom. At one point, though, that the fight ending sequences, Cutelaba gets his neck snatched by Ryan Spann, and it gets a quick tap from a guillotine. It's a pretty quick fight. Honestly, wasn't that bad. It was real quick, good paced. And I thought Ryan Spann looked pretty impressive in this fight. Real good showing, I thought, in this quick match. And it's, you kind of want to see like these guys, like these prospects, because I still think of Ryan Spann as a prospect who had a great streak at one point, derailed by Johnny Walker, and he lost. Anthony Smith beat him most recently, before this, I think. And you kind of want them to get that momentum back, and I think this is a good win, good matchmaking if you're trying to get Ryan Spann on that win. And then finally, the mind-blowing thing, a exciting Katlyn Chookagian fight. But she fought one of my girls, Amanda Ribas. So early striking from both started the fight. And Ribas eventually does hit the classic head and arm throw from the clinch, which I feel like is really common at women's flyweight. I think I also see it at strawweight too, but I feel like at flyweight I'm always seeing that throw. But Ribas gets top position, but Chookagian impressively is defending passes to guard from, Ribas is trying to pass guard, trying to get side control, get mount. She's defending really well, and he set up for submissions. She's defending that well, and eventually she hits a really good sweep that gets her right back on the feet. And then now we're on the feet, and both girls are just throwing bombs at each other, or throwing good shots. Like, Chookagian's actually kind of like, I'm trying to think of the wording. She's kind of like finally, putting her weight behind her punches, isn't just throwing arm punches with ka 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 like she's known for. She's putting some, pepper on these punches, and they're good because Amanda Ribas is showing some really porous defense. So she's taking a lot of shots. She's walking in the jabs or straights constantly, or she'll lean in and nearly get decapitated by a left high kick. And I really felt like, because scorecards were all over the place, I saw on Twitter, or like the little bit I saw of it, seemed like they were all over the place. But I scored this first round for Chookagian. I thought she kind of stole the fight with her aggression and her consistency, like the consistent success she had on the feet. Second round, at this point, she's starting to circle a little bit and stuffing out a lot of the offense from Ribas. And she does stun Ribas momentarily, but Ribas recovers quick and eventually gets a takedown after a clinch against the cage. She holds it for a little bit, gets some good top position, but eventually Chookagian does a great wall walk that gets her back up to the feet, where she just starts dominating the striking all again. So this round was actually really close because it was like, I think, 2 minutes of control time. Close round, and I didn't know how I felt when I watched it the first time, but upon my second watching, because I was like, I want to make sure I scored this correctly to myself, because my score matters. I did score it for Ribas. So 1-1 going into round 3 is kind of what I had it. And round 3, finally, Amanda Ribas starts throwing some kicks. Something that I was really hoping she started doing earlier, because it's kind of might be a little too late at this point. Chookagian's very hard to finish, and it just kind of is what it is. She's a very tough chick. And she took that wheel kick from Valentina. I was like, that sucked. I got hit with that. What? All right, good for her. But Chookagian is also timing just great punches and counters, and whenever she wants to press the pace, she's having great success with it, with her like flurries moving forward. And honestly, Ribas is just taking too many shots. Her defense isn't just there. She's eating too many shots, and this is allowing Chookagian to kind of like take a close fight where you can kind of go either or. And in my opinion, I felt like she was starting to, take a substantial lead, or at least like meaningful lead in the scoring, where it was kind of easy to pick her to win these rounds. And even with Ribas getting a takedown, Chookagian just gets right back to the feet. last seconds of the fight, Ribas is letting all her kias out and just going kya 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 kya, going throwing late flurry, Amazon screaming like Aspen Lad against. I just covered it. Oh well, I just covered it. I can't remember, but it just going berserk, and it just isn't enough. Too little, too late, sadly. And I wanted to talk about this, and I made time to talk about it, and I'm happy I did. Michael Johnson, Alan Patrick. Early on, pretty solid back and forth kickboxing in round one. At one point, Patrick gets a tight clinch, and Johnson just throws him down. Get back up to the feet. But Johnson does get stumbled hard, and it like I was like, this might be it. But after he does recover, and he starts being a little bit more careful after getting his bell rung. And at one point, like near the end, it was actually, at one point, it was at the very end of the round, maybe like with like a minute left, Patrick goes for a really cool lead spinning back fist, southpaw versus southpaw, so he tries to hit him with this back fist with the right hand, lead right hand, and Johnson eats it, gets a double leg, and after some groundwork, eventually it passed. The round does end with Johnson being on top. Close round, kind of lean towards Johnson, but the power of Patrick is there, and with Michael Johnson nowadays, you never know how his chin's going to hold. But round two, Johnson's game plan is becoming a little bit more evident and clear, as like his bell's rung, the cobwebs are gone. All right, like ready to go. And Henry Hooft is just yelling from the corner. And the game plan is simple. Make Patrick miss, make him pay. So Patrick is throwing bombs, missing, and Michael Johnson is showing off his pound for pound super fast speed because his hands are just so quick. Just great. Counter shots. It's starting to kind of add up, and eventually, sure enough, Patrick throws a big bomb, gets countered with a lightning, just blistering combination, gets sat down as he's rolling back, big hammer fist. That's it. Great corner work from Henry Hooft. It was a pretty awesome knockout. I say, go look that knockout up. It's pretty good. I liked it a lot. That's clearly why I made time for it. But that's it for me. That was it for the fights, the big, meaningful things I went and hunt down and decided to talk about. And be sure to check out the main channel as we got a new video coming up. Also, why not go check out me doing the retro review series that I am still going to keep going for. The next fight, or the next card I review, a banger, like sleeper fights on it. I'm back on the main channel, and I'll be here to recap the next fight card for us. But this was Neal with the INC. Thank you for watching.